Guys, we're going to go ahead and get started back with our budget workshop. Um, we have coming up next is recreation. I see Dwayne is here. Dwayne, you want to come on up? Dwayne and Kale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'll be brief on ours. Our budget did not change a whole lot for this fiscal year. I'll hit a couple line items, just some you may have seen changed up. This is kind of our first full year that we've had everything inserted in Munis and we've been able to actually track. First year we came over from Rec Commission. You know, Brittany helped us out through everything because we was kind of late getting in. So this was really our first good year that we could just track everything. So doing that, Greg found a couple of things of just adjusting some line items because of us still learning how to code things, and I appreciate Brittany being patient with us with that. So he just made some adjustments and changed some line items. I think the main place we asked for a little bit was on our programs, and that was just more or less to help with background checks and insurance. Those were the two main things that we found that has increased over this past year. So we asked for a little bit of help there, just so we don't have to come back to y'all and ask to raise fees, because that's something we don't want to do is raise fees. If I can hit on that just real quick, most everybody around us charge about $85 to participate in programs. We're from 110 to 150. So that's something in the very near future I'd love to work with the board with trying to lower our registration fees for our community. But I definitely don't want to raise fees. So all in all, our budget, we did ask for another maintenance position. And then with, I think what we got coming up in the very near future, we've got to start building up our maintenance staff. So that's one position we did ask for. Other than that, most everything else we feel comfortable with. We do have a little bit of money to continue doing projects and upgrading facilities and doing things like that. So other than that, we're fairly comfortable with what we got for this budget cycle.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, guys? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. The question I have, I think we had talked a little bit about some kids who couldn't pay, and I think you would tell me something about some money that could be set aside for that or somehow or another. You remember our discussion?
We don't have anything in place as of now for scholarships. Now,
okay, that's the right word for it.
We're not going to turn kids away. We're going to figure out how to get them to play if they need help. So we do have a few people that we can reach out to that will sponsor kids. So yeah, we're not going to turn anybody away. We don't really have. We've looked at different ways of doing scholarships. And one thing I know that our master plan is going to show and line up is kind of a different type pay scale that would be based, I guess, on income. So we can help there. And again, if we can work here in the very near future to lower our fees, I really do think we'd be in good shape.
Okay, so there was 20 kids in the neighborhood who was unable to pay. You bring them over there and said, Mr. Wayne will figure out a way for you to play either basketball or football.
We will work and do as much as we can to get
to
do it. Yes, sir.
Well, I guess so. If the board would think about it, how much money might it need to automatically enable those kids to play? They're about 10,000, 20.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what sport. I mean, we honestly may have 5 to 10 over all sports that come to us needing help. So it's not a big number, but yeah, when you're talking 20 or 5 to 10,000, so again, depending on what sport they're playing. So You'd
Okay.
be somewhere in there.
So, the reason why I'm asking all the question, I have a very small commission set aside me. I think he is very smart. I had already, we all on the board of commission had about $1 million ARPA fund money to spend in our district, stuff like that for not services, but for programming for kids. I committed $200,000 to the mental health. I committed another $500,000 for next night to expand it because of the kids they needed help. And I like to, and I guess I'm directing to our county manager on the long list that I've been giving you concerning my author funds. I would like for us to look at, maybe get with Patrick, and for those money, bring it for the board so we can vote on whatever we need to do to add another $15,000 to rec to help those kids who need help as far as playing sports. Because the more I think about it, the more I walk in the community, the more I know that people need help. So I think I'm looking at $765,000. I think if my math is kind of close to being right, I would like for Mr. Sim if you would look at it and maybe helping me to help them get those programs in place.
Commissioner Sanders.
I know you said that you were going to hire a new maintenance person. I was looking at the numbers. Is that the one that's going to be about $51,000, the increase in employees?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if new employees are included yet, Brittany, are they?
Is that
The
The new employees are on a contingency spreadsheet in the back. That is not reflected in his, the budget that you see there.
So
So-
I think that part is probably just the step increases for employees.
Staff, okay.
Right, yes, ma'am.
That's correct, okay. So, your maintenance repairs increased, about 70,000.
Right.
Can you, just expound a little bit on that one?
So that was just another one, that was one of the line items that we just moved.
Okay,
Up under general operating supplies, it was at 170,
okay,
and we dropped it down to 50, and then we just took some and added over to our maintenance part.
okay.
So we just kind of shifted some line item money there, not asking for anything different.
Okay. Because I see it's just a 44,000 increase from 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
And I do have a question that's kind of on the record, but off the record. Almond Community Center, and Mr. Sims might want to listen to this too. I'm getting a lot of calls about Almond Community Center. When Lloyd was here, he said he was going to put it back under Parks and Recs because we're having issues with citizens calling to utilize the building, and it's operated by a citizen. So are you guys going to start taking control of that, or how's that going to work? Because they have citizens who would like to rent the building, utilize the building, but they don't have access, or they get told different prices.
Yeah, that I'm not sure of. That's the first I've heard on
Okay.
possibly coming under us. I do know, I think Jason does help out some just with repairs there, but
Okay.
as far as it coming up under us, I haven't heard that in the
Mr.
past.
Sims, if you don't mind taking on that one, because that's been an issue since I've been on the board. Citizens in District 3 want to utilize. It's a small community center, maybe have like a field, I think it has, but we don't have a community center in District 3, so that's the only access they have, so they either can't get in contact with the individual or they're being told different prices.
Yes, ma'am, I'll
So-
look into that.
Yeah.
Also, I just wanted to add that our Recreation and Parks Department being very creative. They're adding soccer as a new program for our community, and I just want you all to know that as well.
And reminding your initial conversation, we actually had a meeting with Esports, and we're looking at bringing that on board maybe July, no later than the fall, and start trying to see how Esports will do.
So we are trying to be innovative. Thank you.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have one brief question, and thank you, Dwayne, for the presentation today. You had mentioned about a line item that was going to include the increase for background checks and insurance. Do you remember which line item that was specifically? Because I didn't
So-
see a line item that said background checks. And then which insurance, because I see, of course, health insurance, life insurance.
Yeah, so that would be under our sports, like our general liability. We have a different policy to cover our players and coaches in our sports programs. So that, that general liability increased from 6,500 to 12,000. And, the background checks fall up under,
Because I see general liability, but it just says all zeros. I don't see is it a different line item maybe?
you have the, should have one sheet with just programs on it, Commissioner.
Or maybe I'm not looking at that.
He has,
Yeah.
they have two departments, so they have one that's called Culture and Recreation at
Right.
the top, and then there's one called Participant Recreation,
Okay.
and
So it's under that one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's the general liability from 6,500 to 12,000.
Right.
Okay, so that's where the background checks or the insurance would go.
That includes insurance and I think background checks.
Okay, so it's
fall.
both.
Right, yes.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have just one follow-up, I guess, comment. When I was asking for, at Nelson Heights, and they had Miss Sherwood Franklin draw the plans up for the football field, and then at the track field, and line up the football field for soccer, we knew that soccer was coming. It was going to be a very significant part of recreation. That was one of the reasons why we were asking for the football field slash line up for soccer. We also understand that track is coming, and possibly soccer should have been here in our rec, and so should track should have been here in our rec. And we were just simply thinking in terms of catching up with the times and what people do within the surrounding communities, and bring just a little small piece of it here so that it can be served as a model as for the whole county as we build more soccer fields, football fields / soccer fields, and then track fields for our citizens. And so, we just had kind of view somewhere in the future of our recreation. Thank you.
You got a question? Commissioner Sanders.
Page 82, under your advertising, I see it increased from 6,000 to 17,000, which is like 11,000 increase. What advertising tools are y'all utilizing to increase your advertising budget?
Yeah, well, and I'll say this on that part. Greg took some from our other advertising in the main and moved it over to programs also. So that's kind of where that increased there. So one thing that, again, the master plan, and I'm gonna kind of refer to that a lot because, again, I feel like that if we're going to spend the money, we need to use it. And so one thing they're wanting us to do is to create a flyer that we can put out. It's got just a nice trifold type flyer that we can put over town so people can see the programs we got. They can see all the special events we have. So that's one thing that will come out of that. We do send out, one thing we do pretty much before every sport is we send out little postcards to the schools. And so those have also increased in price. But for some of the other programs we're bringing on board, like Esports, we can go all the way through adults. So usually we just go through 8th grade with flyers. So we'll start including even high school with that to let them know what we're doing. And the Esports is just something that's gotten very popular. And through GRPA, it only cost us $250 to get it off the ground. And then it's $40 per participant. And then after that, they handle everything else. So they'll set it up, they'll set schedules. Kids can go online, see when they play, and then at the end of it, they also do awards. So after checking into it, it's kind of win-win and really not much investment for us.
Dwayne, thank you for being here, and thank you for preparing your budget. And if the commission have any other questions, we'll get back in touch with you.
Thank you all
sir.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is extension. Come on up, Ashley, if you will.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good afternoon. So there is not much change with our budget this year. I try to be very conscious of what we spend as far as county money. And I will say that our maintenance agreements did increase because we got a brand new printer. So we are increasing that. We had to increase that for that new printer because we are reaching over 1,100 students and youth in 4-H, so we are printing out newsletters and flyers and camp promotion stuff, so it is a great thing to have that new printer. Also, I did want to mention I made a boo-boo under general operating supplies. That should be $1,500, so when I entered it into Munis, I put $1,500 for the quantity and 0 for the price, so it just multiplied by 0 and it came out to be 0. So I wanted to point that out to you guys and make sure that we will adjust that on the back end. But under general operating supplies, it should be $1,500, and that's what we've always operated at. That's for our office supplies that we utilize every year. So, are there any questions for me or comments?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Oh, perfect.
Thank you, Ashley.
Awesome. Thank you.
Next we have Developmental Services. Ashley, I'm sorry. Shayna, if you would please come on up.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. Before you should have the Development Services budget for fiscal year 2023. And just briefly, there was a 21% increase of $307,000, or $307,806. And this was attributed to the following. We requested a vehicle, which is $60,000. There's a maintenance agreement for $50,000, and that's for our software system and copier, and regular employee step increase, which came up to $197,806. And if there are any questions?
Any questions, guys? Yeah, Commissioner Sanders?
Looking at the numbers, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Professional contracts, can you tell me what are your contracts? What do they consist of? I see it increased about 30,000.
Yeah. So that is, that was we go towards contracting for stormwater and engineering. We have to contract out to get help with our ponds. The detention ponds of the county has to ensure that they're being maintained as needed. So that was one of the items that we contracted out.
Yes.
What was it?
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr.
I'm sorry.
Chairman,
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
if I
Mr.
can, I just wanted to acknowledge Shayna for presenting before us today. She got like very last minute notice to come present, like within the last 40 minutes. So I think she did an outstanding job, and thank you.
Thank you.
much. Thank you. Okay. Guys, Ms. Frida's due at 2, I think. Let me go back. She's due at 2. She's on her way. We're gonna take a recess until she gets here.
So our non-departmental department houses a lot of different types of expenditures that don't really fall under the normal departments. And also at the beginning of the budget time, like now, it holds a lot of not unexpected because they're expected, but unknown costs. So for instance, we know we're going to have an insurance increase because we always have one, but we haven't got finalized numbers to disperse out to departments. So we hold items like that in non-departmental until we know the final cost. So that's why when you look at your spreadsheet, it shows a 66% increase right now. However, as we progress through the budget, that number will decrease. So one of the first items that we have holding in the non-departmental is a health insurance increase. So I estimated roughly a 7 to 10% increase because that's usually what our insurance increase is. So that's a $600,000. In non-departmental, we also house our other employee benefits, such as our Christmas incentive, tuition reimbursement, vacation buyback, items like that. So the big one, which we mentioned we'll talk about a little bit further on this afternoon, is the pension plan. So the defined benefits pension plan estimate that we have received is roughly $3.5 million. So that is holding here until we decide if that's the route we want to go this year or not. Yes. Let's see. Do you see retirement contributions? So for now, I've also placed a holding number of $1 million in contingency for new positions. That could fluctuate because we did get, I want to say, I think it's roughly $7-8 million in new position requests. So that million is just a holding number, and then that can change as we progress through the budget. And then I also put $500,000 in for reserve for fiscal year changes, so that's like a normal contingency bucket. And that is pretty much what makes up the non-departmental section as of now. So if y'all have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
And Brittany, tell us again, I guess I'm trying to pull off a little time for Ms. Frida to get here. Can you tell us again what may affect that number, those numbers that you put in?
Health insurance. So that can affect it, as well as the pension, if that's the route we want to go. And I will get into this a little later, but I've done some calculations of the pension versus our current 401k contributions, so we can talk about weighing the difference in those contributions as well throughout the year. And then we do benefits such as vacation buyback, Christmas incentives, tuition reimbursement, so those are all in that line as well. And I see Miss Frida.
Miss Frida too. Perfect timing. Come on up.
How you doing? Everyone doing?
Great. How you doing?
We're tired. She's been in the kitchen. I've been doing activities. Okay.
Thank you, Mom.
We're passing out our packet because we did make a few changes from what I sent to Brittany, and I just wanted you to get an overall picture of the senior center. Some of you know us, and some of you are new, so you don't really know us, so that should explain everything about us and more. So what we try to do today is just to give you a little summary on where we at, where we're going. I did put in here our 3-year plan and our goal for our senior center as well. And in your package, you'll also see some of our re-imaging and exploring opportunities so we can save our department some money. And also, I put in the package our statistics, where we are now. Right now, we're 548 strong, and it's showing you the breakdown of the ages. It's also showing you what city and what is town. It's also showing you the people that come into our center with disabilities that we service. And it's showing you the ethnicity of our clients, the gender, and who's head of their households and who's not, that live with their children. So we try to give you that information, those who live alone and who don't live alone. So we try to give you that breakdown. Plus, we gave you a few graphs to let you see what's happening to us right now. One of my graphs is the breakdown of our enrollment since April of 2021. Since April of 2021, we have enrolled 362 clients out of that 548 that you see. Some of that 548 are home delivery clients, so you're not going to see that number in the 362. These are the people that actually come into the center and do some type of activity, or we give them an on-site meal. So if you notice our graph, this one right here, there's quite more new enrollment there is old enrollment. So that means some of our renewals have not even came back in because it's not due, their time is not due to renew. So right now we're kind of averaging about 33 renewals every month. So multiply that times 12. And so that's why we're standing before you today. We tried to, with our budget, we tried to stay steady with our budget. So we didn't ask for a whole lot more. But one of the things that, and I'm going to say this, I did not include in our budget because I thought I was going to get it in this budget, was a van, our shuttle bus. But I understand now the dealer is telling us one price and we need more money. So I did not include it in this budget here because I thought I was going to get it in this present budget. So I'm asking the board, if you just take a look, find it in your heart where you can find us, what, $30,000 more dollars?
Well, we had originally had 55, and then I had the extra 15. So, and it's going to be what, 96, 97, 99. So you need, we need to find about 30,000.
So I'm just asking you that, and you're not going to see us asking for any capital except our splash for our expansion of our senior center, but we did not put it in there because we was going to thought we was getting that bus now, which we do need the bus now. We have 2 buses that are over 200,000 miles on them, and several of our buses stay in the shop, and we need buses with lifts now. Our seniors are getting older. They're on walkers and canes, so they can't walk up the steps, so we have to take the lift and bring them down to put them on the bus. So that's why we stand before you today, hoping that you will approve our existing budget, but kind of look and see what you can do for us. I did ask for a few job changes. Now, I think Amanda said she was going to get with Mr. Sims to talk about that, but it's not taking away any money from our personnel. It's just changing job titles around and we're going to get rid of a position so we can elevate the staff where they should be.
Any questions, guys? Thank you, ma'am. Thank y'all for being here. Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You talked about the Lyft bus. So do we only offer that Lyft service? Now, do we currently have a Lyft bus? I can't remember if you said we have
All
one
our
or.
buses have lifts on it except
Okay.
two, right? We had a 4-H bus, we gave the 4-H bus to the sheriff's department, because, we were not utilizing that bus, and, the 4-H bus, 4-H gave it to us,
Okay.
but we were not utilizing it because, we don't have a lift on it.
Right.
you know.
Do we offer, do we only offer that transportation service if someone that needs Lyft is coming to the center, or anything outside of that, or just only if they're coming to the center?
At this present time, it's only to and from the senior
Okay.
center because, number one, we don't have the staff for
Right.
that. And number two, right now, we still have our COVID guidelines where on our 18-passenger bus, we can only put 5 people on there.
Yeah.
And so once they kind of take some of that away from us, and I think they said probably in April or May, hopefully, then we'll be able to put more seniors on it. Because we have a waiting list of seniors wanting to come into the center. And it looks like everyone that's joining the center, they need transportation.
Right. Okay. That was my only question. I
Yeah.
just didn't know because I had some seniors in District 2 that I know one specifically that had inquired about that. And so I had not had an opportunity to ask the question. So I said I would take advantage of this opportunity
All right.
to see if that service was only provided to and from the center.
It's our hope once they release
Okay.
that we'll be able to take seniors to their doctor's appointments.
Okay.
And things within our county.
Right.
But as I said too, that's going to require more staff.
Right. Okay. Well, that answered my question. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? Thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Guys, we're gonna break until I think 3 or something. Are you gonna get them to come over? Okay. All right. We're gonna take a break until we can see, can we get some department heads to come over?
Patrick, are you hearing any buzz now?
about ready to take these shields down, man. Y'all ain't comfortable yet? No? Why? I think they all coming back. I think, no, he's here, but I think, Edwards is coming back as well. I think Calvin said he's gonna try to come this afternoon. He got closings today. Yeah. Jesus Christ. We're gonna wait.
3 o'clock?
No, we're gonna wait. Jarvis get back. Commissioner, you said people having trouble getting in touch with, I forgot, Bear, yeah.
Yeah, the problem started off my way, he'll give them different prices. Someone said free, someone said 100, some type of, he told some people that it's not open, it's not there for all. They're getting mixed.
So they weren't getting their prices from the rec department?
It's not in the rec department, you know what I mean? That's the issue. He is the keeper of the keys for everything.
Okay, so he hasn't been turning money into the rec department?
No. He takes the money. That's why we have to know. The Lord wants accountability. We give him money. Secret's out. There's no money in all these people that center. There's no money in that goes to him. And they say they allow him to take the bill.
Who took care of the bill? That's for maintenance?
That's what they said. That's the Lord told me. That's what I got from Lord. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
It shouldn't work like that. Bill and Jason should take care of the maintenance part of the building.
That's all question the Lord. I was like, well, how does that happen? Dwayne said he don't know about it. That's what he said.
I got it. Let me get my, I'm finna get it. Huh? That why you got the yellow? That why you got the yellow and black on? Man, are you serious right now? Crazy. Wait on Commissioner Mason to come back. Yeah. But yeah. Huh?
How was lunch?
Man, I'm trying to lose 40 pounds.
By when?
You gonna see my video?
The dancing video?
Yeah. I had lost about 36 pounds. I gained all of it back.
There you go. And
I'm about to lose again, though.
you're not a pescatarian, you're not a vegetarian. You're something. No, you're right. Hey, you're a pescatarian? I thought you were another kind of target.
I got a long way to go, but I lost
Equal opportunity eater.
I lost 6 already.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of in between, like 30 once a specific year. That's like,
Excuse me, yeah. That's right, flexitarian, I think is what you told me. Yeah, there you go.
Did mine leave?
He was on the phone, this stuff's still here. He left his cookies, so I don't think he.
He's here, so I would hate to move forward without him being in here. What time is it? 2 o'clock? No? Wow. Well, Commissioner Sanders, I guess, we gonna hear from you. I did text him. He was one. This is Lane. get a chance to have discussion yeah. Mr. Brown, you wanna come on up? Wanna come on up? Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations on receiving that reward again.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Now, if you can just say "Go Dogs," we'll be good.
No, okay, we won't be doing that. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I can go start.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Just kind of want to go over some of the highlights from the Water Resources Department. As you may have questions for the budget for water resources, Keep Newton Beautiful, and factory shows. The major thing that we're doing in FY23 for the Water Resource Department is we will be increasing our water rates by 5 cents per thousand. All the stakeholders in all of our stakeholders have already been notified. We have to send out certified letters after once the budget is approved to officially notify all those participants. So all the cities resides in Newton County, the Water and Sewage Authority, Jasper County, Walton County, Alcova Shores has already been notified. And primarily the reason why that increase has taken place is the cost of chemicals has risen exponentially, way outside of our normal scope and normal buffer that we have in place. We are anticipating a higher demand for FY23. It rose from 14.06 to 14.5. We've got a tremendous amount of industry that has come to the county, so some of that growth is attributed to that as well. It's residential use as well. Some of the increases you see in Keep Newton Beautiful, I might have been an accident by omitting some of the budget line requests, so the difference in that is just some of the line items that was in that budget line was just not accounted for. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Is that including factory shows?
Factory shows, oh, excuse me, I apologize. Factory shows does have a slight increase. We did have to abandon and demolish the swing set that's at the day use side of the park. So the budget line for that, for $75,000, I believe, is to replace that swing set and replace it with a new one. We had the opportunity, we was recently notified by one of our vendors that we're trying to partner up with the Parks and Recs Department of a $100,000 grant. So we're gonna submit an application together. And some of those proceeds, if awarded, will go to factory shows.
Commissioner Sanders, any questions?
Well, looking at some of your numbers and just going, I just look at numbers, so I just like to ask questions. So I see there's a $25,000 increase for your professional contractors. What, are you hiring more contract workers, or can you expound on that?
Yes, what that is it's an extension on to the previous year. We're having to do some mediation on the dam at Cornish Creek, Lake Varner. So that's going to be some oversight of some groundwork, removing of some trees and brush area from the overflow spillway. So that amount is for the management of that particular project.
Okay. And there is your architectural engineer. Is that hiring someone as a contract firm? Because that increased by $125,000.
Yes, that's also is associated with that. That is the actual design group that will have to come in and actually do, with partnership with the state and safe dams, to make sure that we have all the qualified personnel on site.
Okay. Is a bid, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm sorry, go ahead. It's to make sure we have all the details that's associated with what safe dam is going to require of us to do. We will have all the necessary components already in place.
So is like a bid done for that contract work, or you have to go with this specific contractor?
Well, what it is it falls up under, it's two parts. You have the professional service part, and then you have a contractor that actually comes out and perform the work that do the site wells that we have to actually install. So you have that engineering group that's going to oversee the site well, and then we have the other engineering group that's going to come in and actually do the site work for the spillway as well. So it's two separate, I apologize, two separate projects that's up under that. That's one line item.
Okay. And my last one, I was looking at the increases, was I guess the energy bill, the electricity increased by $100,000.
Yeah. Well, what we have with the construction that's happening out there at Cornish Creek, we anticipate that we have a new building with some new equipment and a pump station that's going to be a floating pump station that's going to be out in the reservoir. So it's just a kind of a ballpark guess on how much. I really don't know how much we're going to consume from that. And plus, we added in another pump at the river pump. We redid and reinstalled a pump at the river. So we just anticipating higher demand flows, which means we have to pump out more, which again means additional energy costs.
Okay. And that was all the questions I had.
I think Commissioner Sanders was new when we started the process of expanding out there, and so that cost is going to come from the expansion that
Right.
The project that's at Stant Springs?
No,
No,
the
not
corner.
yeah. We did this one. What we did, the Cornish Creek facility has been under construction for probably about 14 months now.
Okay.
And what we've done on the south end of the county, south end of the site, we added in 2 clarifiers, a dewatering building with equipment that's associated with it, additional pumps that's also been installed. So right now, we don't know what that particular project is going to entail, so we had to put something in there along with a floating dock station that we're currently under construction. That's probably going to be more toward the fall. We do know because there's going to be 350 horsepower pumps, 3 of them. So we know there's going to be some additional cost. So what I did is took the similar style pumps, what we use on each one of those pumps, and just attributed to that line item.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Gaithers, Ms.
LaTanya. I just want to say something real quick. I should have said it before James got up, but I just wanted to remind everybody, which I know everybody probably knows, but the Water Fund and Gaithers Fund, they're all enterprise funds, so they do not fall under the general fund. They operate off user fees.
And I'm so glad, good afternoon, I'm so glad that Brittany just mentioned that, so I appreciate you guys for allowing me to just come before you this afternoon. The good news for Gaithers regarding budgeting and finance is great news, actually. We're not increasing anything, simply because these past 2 years we have been majorly, tremendously impacted by COVID. So because we're operating off user fees, the majority of our activity was based on filming, based on weddings and things of that nature. So there have been no increases. What we do want to focus on coming into our next budget is, because the film industry does really like to use Gaithers because of its natural habitat and its pastures and the backdrop for the Waltons movies. They actually have the Waltons film that's coming, and they're actually working on a Waltons series. The last movie that was actually filmed there was the Till movie based on Emmett Till. So they really did appreciate during that, before the film industry shut down, they appreciated how the landscaping was, but now we need to work on getting it repaired. So the reason we didn't increase the budget is we wanted to make sure we're working with the budget that we have to make sure we do all of the necessary repairs to the field, to the home, back to the pavilion, so that weddings can be conducted, so that films can be brought back. And of course, if we invite the film industries back in, they can make the necessary modifications themselves. So, of course, with that being said, the opportunities, of course, that we have, since we're not increasing the budget, The opportunities that we want to look at, and we will bring it back before you all, is possibly an opportunity to increase revenue by increasing our pricing schedule to make sure it's at parity, to make sure that our roads are accommodated, to make sure that reservation and change fees, working in the film industry, sometimes you can make a reservation, let's say for this date, and they'll make it for, let's say, April 1st. But between February and April 1st, they may have changed it like 5 times. But there's really no change fee in there, no pricing to say, hey, we're having to reschedule all of our security, deputies, employees, you know, that are gonna work down there. There's no price in there. We also currently don't have pricing in place. We have a permit fee, but we don't have a price and schedule in place per se for blocking roads intermittently or permanently. So we want to make sure that we're matching that, and we have an opportunity if we are going to inconvenience, and I know you guys are concerned about our citizens, so if we're going to inconvenience our citizens by just having them wait and stop and go with traffic, we want to make sure that our roads are also safe and things of that nature. Also, there are opportunities for festivals and possibly carnivals and things of that nature that can be done down there on the property once we get it back to the standard that it needs to be. So rather than increase it, we can work from what we have and improve on what we currently have so that's more attractive to the public. And I'm gonna say this because I don't think, Jarvis, that you've been down there yet, Mr. Sims, and then I know because of COVID, you've not had an opportunity to visit. Commissioner Mason has not had an opportunity to visit, and we know that it sometimes has a different connotation, but it's always good. We've invited people to come and see it, and the perception was changed when you physically go down there versus what is said, and then you see what it can be. And I always say, you know, if Tyler Perry can buy a 300, he and T.D. Jakes can come down there and change a Confederate Army base into a film industry there, we have that same opportunity right here in Newton County, and we didn't have to purchase it, we own it. So we can make it whatever we want it to be. So there are so many possibilities and opportunities if we take advantage of it. But I am open to questions.
I'm glad you said that about the fees. We're going to look at our fee schedule for not just Gators, for filming on all county properties, because that's something that we definitely got to.
Major.
I think we are lower, definitely in the places that's in the cab.
Absolutely.
Fulton and even Rockdale for that matter. But any questions, Commissioner?
Just, I know you said there was no increase. I don't know if I have the same budget, but I'm seeing a $12,000 increase.
For which one?
Am I on the right page? Gators at Myrtles Creek page? From 2023, 2022, the budget was 186, and in 2023, the budget is 198, so it's a $12,435
Oh,
budget.
let me clarify, the line items that you may be talking, the reason that made a difference was because on the first page, regular employees went from 79 to 95 because we had a place setting. Of course, that can be modified or adjusted, but remember, well, you may not have been here, we lost Miss Lisa. Okay. So there, right there, that price is an adjustment from what the salary was initially. So we did like a place setting, we did a freeze on the project coordinator position. We may open it back up, but if it's not open back up, that is something that can be adjusted. And then with that also, the impact, there was an adjustment on Social Security FICA. It went from 6,000 actually down to 2947. So that one actually has a reduction, so that may be the difference. But it was not in any of the line items that are active for the property itself. Those were just employee impact fees, but all of the line items that we're responsible for handling day-to-day business on the property were not affected at all.
Okay. And just to expound, and I know we talked about this last year, and I wish some of the other commissioners were here to state what they actually said last year. And you're right with Tyler Perry and some of the private sectors actually taking those properties and turning it into cinemas, but I don't personally agree that the government should be involved in that process, because it does have a lot of people in our county that still has that negative connotation in their heads because they actually live here and they went through it and they've seen what happened on those properties. So for me, I don't believe that we as Newton County should be funding a plantation, and some of the other commissioners feel that as well.
But
I
it's
do
not a
agree.
plantation. It
But-
was a plantation.
Even though it was, but we know what occurred on there. So you can't take that out of people's hands, especially if they were born and raised here and seen it and lived through it. So it's kind of hard when you see the same property that was on there, and a lot of people won't even go on it. So that's the issue that I do have, because I think about people and what has occurred in the past, and I know we did change certain things, but it's kind of hard when you live through it. So I just don't think the government should be involved in funding something of that magnitude. Now, private entities, go right ahead, but I agree with other commissioners that actually stated that as well. So that's just my personal intake, but the commissioners vote to keep it, I go with what my colleagues go with.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're good? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
The next one is Ms. Trudy. Next is E911, Ms. Trudy. I'm sorry?
I said I brought some handouts. Is that okay?
Sure.
Fine. It just tells a little bit, well, good afternoon. I have been rushing all day. I've been at a job fair over at Eastside, and I come straight from there to here.
Thank you.
So it's just a little bit about the center, just a little information, our call volume, kind of, how things work, just to let y'all know. We redid our mission statement and vision statement last year, so that's our new, we're kind of putting it out this year. It wasn't part of our stuff last year, so it's.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I don't want there to be confusion. So E911 is technically, the county participates in the operation costs, and we do have the E911 fund, but they're not technically in our system as a department, so you're not going to see the same layout for them that you do everybody else. So that's why you're not seeing a breakdown of their line item like you're used to seeing for the other departments.
Okay.
No, you're good. No, any help I can get, I need it today. I'm like scattered. Just kind of an overview of my budget. It went down just a little bit from last year, about $107,000. And 911 has two pretty big projects going on right now. One of them is the public safety radio system. And if you look through my budget, you'll see right now, for this year, we're budgeted for 2 radio systems. So we're paying for the current system, and we've also started paying for fiber and lease on towers of the new radio system. So right now, we're kind of paying for 2, and we will until this project is complete. It's slated to be complete to where we can take the old system down towards the end of this year. So once that happens, those bills will kind of fall off, the fiber and things that we're paying for on the current system.
Trudy, I want to ask you one question.
Okay.
I want to make sure I don't forget. Is this system going to be able to talk to James, them out there at the Water Resources?
Yes,
Okay,
and we've
cool.
we've tried to talk to them
Okay.
about the SCADA.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'll make sure we get him in the loop a little bit more than what he is right now, because we're kind of getting to that point to where we're getting ready to order subscriber units. You should be seeing that in the other county agents' budgets for their radios and things like that. So I'll make sure that they are on board and are aware of what they need to do. So we've got that project going on, and then we also have Next Gen 911. We're working with the GIS. I don't know if Tim, or if y'all talked to Tim yet, if he mentioned it, but we actually budgeted in the current budget, but we're gonna have to carry over about, I think we're gonna pay for about 30% of it this year, and then I had to budget about $160,000 for next year to finish paying out the contract of the, oh Lord, Datacom? that's not them. Anyway, the GIS consultants that we've hired to do that project. So those are our two big things. In addition to that, in my budget, I put in a stay incentive. And I would like to go ahead and kind of start it before the new budget cycle, but I'm going to have to get approval from y'all and, of course, the city council as well. But I have funding in my current budget because of my open positions. I'm 12 people. Well, I'm 12 people short today. I had one turn in a notice, and we've hired 4. So we're right around that 9 to 12 person short. My people are working a lot of overtime. It's a very stressful job. We're just not getting quality applications. And I wrote up just a little memo kind of explaining what we want to do. And I know I am going to get an answer on this today. But it's just, Cobb County has done it. It would basically give our current employees $2,500 as over the next year as a stay with us, and there's kind of, for new employees, they would get about $1,500. It's kind of, no, maybe $2,000 is what we put in there to kind of get them in the door, and again, it would be paid over a period of time. We wouldn't give it to them all up front. For new employees, if they were to leave within that first year, we would ask for that money back. So it's just kind of putting it out there, kind of somewhere we want to move, just maybe to help get people in the door. It's hard. We've hired 4 that we are in the process of training. It's just, it takes so long to train, and the job is so stressful. I have one over there right now that as I ran in and come back out, she's like stressed out about 10 codes and signals, and just talking to her, it's just like, just hang tight. We're going to learn them, and we're going to work with you, but it's just the frantic and the panic, and then we have lives in our hands, and we hadn't even really got there with her yet, but she's already putting that out there. So it's a hard job, and I just think if we could do maybe something, especially for my current employees who are working a lot of overtime and been there with us through COVID and have done their part, I just think if we could just do a little something for them, that would be a big deal. So I did add a little money in the budget for that. I think it's about $52.50 is what I put in there. But if we could start it beforehand, I have that extra money from my vacant positions. And just to remind y'all, the way that my budget works, the agreement between the city and the county, Porterdale and Oxford, so the 911 fees pay first, and we're expecting a surplus this year, a little bit more than what we've got in the past. We're looking around $2.1 million in 911 fees to be coming in. 10% of that does get set aside for capital expenses, anything that pops up or anything that we might have to have at the 911 center. And then Porterdale and Oxford, they pay just over 4% of my budget right now. And then the county is at 73% and the city is at 62%. It's kind of where we stand. And you got to remember with the county, that includes EMS. So EMS's calls go under, they get credited under the county. So I think that's really all. And like I said, I'm kind of overall, I have a little bit of a decrease, but I've maintained and stayed pretty consistent.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Savage?
Mine is not more of a question, it's more of getting a complete understanding. I want to make sure I understand the 911 budget. So the $4 million, that is from the county, or that's a combined with the city and
It's a combined. So the 4.2 million, or the 4.3 of my budget was 4.2. The top part of that comes out of 911 fees.
Okay.
So that comes out of the E911 telephone surcharge line. And we're looking at about 2.1 million for that. 10% of that will be set aside for capital expenses. So the first part of my budget is paid for with the E911 surcharges. Then we bill Oxford and Porterdale for their use, which is a little over 4%. And then what's left, the city and county, is based on their use as well, but whatever's left of that, the city and county split with the basically 70-30 split.
So
Do
the
we know what that number is, Brittany, for
the
the
county
county?
portion is 1.5 million.
Okay.
And it's all based on use. So for every call we get in the 911 center or every vehicle that's pulled over, the totals are calculated based on use of the 911 center for each agency.
Now, going back to your shortage,
Yes, sir.
what is the average pay for a 911 worker?
They start out at $16.60 an hour.
Okay.
I want to say that's around 35,000 a year.
Is that the average per state? Is that the average around?
We're actually very competitive in our pay with areas around us. Of course, DeKalb and Fulton make more than us. Clayton County makes more than us.
larger
We're just a
budget.
little bit above Rockdale, and then Conyers we're pretty equal to. I think we're just a little bit above them, but we're fairly close to Conyers. So, I mean, as far as being competitive with agencies around us, we are. It's just a hard job.
Okay. What can be done to, in your opinion, well, you would know, to make it easier?
To make the job easier?
Yeah.
I mean, right now, if we could just get employees in the door, it would relieve some of the burden on the current employees. I mean, 911 is a job that people choose to do. It's not that you come for the money. It's not that you have a calling, and it truly is. It's a multitasking position that requires a lot of things to happen at one time. You're protecting your officers. You're making sure they have what they need. You're also answering citizens who make the phone calls, and you do it all at one time. I mean, I know you've come up there and seen it. So it's a lot, and right now with the job market, I mean, people are seeing that. I mean, yeah, I can go to 911 and be stressed all the time, or I can go over here to the plant and make, $5, $10 more and, be carefree. I have no, no worries or no responsibilities. So the job market right now is hard, and we're really seeing the effects of it at the center.
Okay. That's all I had.
Anyone else? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank y'all.
Greatly appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're gonna take a break now seriously, to 3:45. I'm sorry?
3:30, we reached out to Ladies People, and she said that they can jump on at 3:30, so if you be back at 3:30.
So she gonna do it, Zoom?
Zoom, yeah, but they're in a meeting now, so they couldn't confirm here, so she said that they would jump on at 3:30.
Okay, 3:30. Y'all gonna stay in recess until 3:30. Thank y'all. Oh, man. Jesus.
You have a second?
But then when he went over to Congress, he hired me. Okay. Congress. He was the chief over there. And then he hired me as a major over there. And I used to revise him every day. Light, city manager out of, yeah. Yeah. He was gone 5 minutes before that. I didn't forget.
See, our pension is solid. Never, listen, we had two people stole $17 million from our pension. Didn't go to jail, did they? Well, no, they didn't pay it back, they went to jail. And our pension was still solid. And when he came in, but see what happened? The city wasn't contributing. The city contributed 7 million. Well, Andy changed it when he was in there. 1 year, rather than giving us a raise, he cut our contribution from 7.5, I think, down to 5%, which was better than a raise. And that's what happened. That's what happened with the thing. Shirley wasn't making contributions. Pretty limited. I mean, they still get 30%, but 30% ain't nothing. But they still get that. No, the support. I mean, that benefit. When I went to Congress, I didn't get nothing. I didn't take nothing. I was learning to do it. Yeah. EOAD. I joined that when I went to Congress. Well, I can't get a Congress. April of 29th of next year. But you know, when I came on, it was a choice. They didn't let black people out.
John. Yeah. No, we don't need to share the screen. Yeah, I was just gonna try to turn it on.
Brown, we gonna go. Guys, we done made it back into our session today.
Can you all hear us?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you all for being with us today, Miss Keaton. We greatly appreciate it. We're gonna turn it over to you and let you present your budget, please.
We're not able to hear you guys.
See if she can hear you.
Yes, okay. We can go ahead.
Hey, it's too.
Hello, my name is
appropriation.
Carol Moss. I am the chairman of the board at Library. And thank you so much for allowing us to have the opportunity to speak with you today about our FY23 budget request for the Newton County Library System. We know it's been a long day for you guys, so we will get right to it. As you can see from our request, we are asking for an additional funds in fiscal year 23 to assist with updating our technology and keeping our library collection current. Both of these items, along with qualified staff, are the backbone of operating a public library. With the rapid changes in technology, computer hardware and software are consistently being updated, and the need for increased access continues to grow. And it is crucial in this day and age for a public library serving a community to provide access to current technology in order to provide quality service for our patrons.
You all have I'm Liz Keaton. I am the library director for Newton County Library System. Good afternoon, everybody. Do you all have this sheet? It has our floor plan for our technology.
What?
It should look like this. All right. As you can see from looking at our floor plan, the majority of our public access technology at the Covington branch is from 2014, and the majority of same technology at Porter is 2010. Even worse, our majority of staff computers are 2012 at Covington and Porter 2010. As you might imagine, having such outdated technology causes severe issue with serving our patrons in a timely manner. Since 2010, Newton County patrons have logged 849,369 computer sessions with an average of over 65,000 sessions per year. With so many outdated public and staff computers, we have problems with programs not loading because the software is so outdated, programs crashing, and patrons losing important information. Wait times are longer because the computers are so slow. Patrons require more staff assistance in order to navigate these issues. Staff also have a difficult time cataloging, processing, and checking materials in and out. and staff have a difficult time using resources to create documents for marketing and programming. All of our staff and public copies and printers are outdated as well. To bring everything up to date would cost approximately $350,000. And we know this is too much to ask, so we are requesting an additional $50,000 to at least replace the outdated staff computers at both locations. Our request for an additional $10,000 is to help maintain our print and electronic collection so our materials do not become outdated as well. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
That's crazy. I mean, this is just, it's crazy. Y'all have any questions?
My apologies, I was not able to hear your full presentation because it was muffled on this end. But the question I do have is, I'm very big on education in the library. So what I'm hoping, and I've met Ms. Keaton before, she kind of knows my view, is hopefully the county will support the library because they're literacy. And I know we do support them, but our libraries need to be updated. We are behind technology. If you go to Gwinnett, if you go to Atlanta, Fulton County, they have green screen technology. They have stuff that we don't even have for our children in this community. I mean, the library looks like the library that I had when I was in school. So we have to update the library and at least support it to make our children in Newton County want to go to the library. So I support the increase in technology. This is probably one of the ones I support the most out of all of it because it is education and literacy.
Okay. It's a little hard to hear. Is there any way we could have a little closer access to the speakers?
Do y'all have any questions?
Oh, thank you.
Any questions? You have a question? What's your question?
So my question is, I'm seeing that there's a $59,000 increase. What is that actually going to cover? Because I don't see it broken down in the presentation. Yes, I do see that. So, I guess what I want to know is not be so broad and say updated technology. I want to see a list. Okay, updated technology of what? Does that mean I need this amount of computers? Do I need this amount of touch screen? Do I need this amount of what? And what are those specific patron materials that we're referring to?
Okay, could you repeat that question because we can't hear you at all?
Hey, can you ask her?
Did you say specific patron materials?
Yes, ma'am. I was asking, can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I was asking, I see that there's a request for an additional $60,000, and it's supposed to be for updated staff, technology, and new patron materials. So do we have a breakdown of what those updated staff technology entails, and what are the specific new patron materials entail? So for example, if you want the $60,000, what does that specifically entail versus just giving me a broad saying it's for updated staff technology and new patron materials? So can you give me a breakdown of what those are specifically?
Sure. If you take a look at the floor plan, there's actually a key on there that says public computers, staff computers, printers, copiers, and servers. What we did is we priced out each one of those. That was the amount that we talked about would be $350,000. Each one of those tells you how many there are at each location. If you want a more specific breakdown, I'll be happy to send it to you. If you want to know exactly how many computers that entails, how many servers that entails, how many copiers that entails, we actually have another breakdown that I could actually send that to you. And as far as the materials go, we included a sheet, let me see if I can find it, that has the stack of books on it, that has a breakdown. That is for books that will be published in the upcoming year, so there's no way to give you a list of specific titles. What I did is I gave you the specific types of materials that it would be. So the $10,000 for materials would be $1,000 for ebooks, $2,000 for large print, $3,000 for adult nonfiction, and $4,000 for children's nonfiction. There's no way to give you a title for books that haven't been published yet.
Right, and so I don't want the actual. Yeah, I think what you're giving me is great. I don't see what you're reading here. So if we can get a copy of what it is that you're reading now, like 10,000 for this, 30 for that, or 10 for this specifically, I think that'll help as well.
Okay. I emailed this one to you all. It has the breakdown of the materials. I sent an email updated with the floor plan and this yesterday afternoon, and it was also included in the funding packet.
Okay, so we got the floor plan. We got the floor plan, but I just don't see the breakdown that you're referring to now.
For the actual floor plan, you want to know how many computers?
Yes.
How many staff computers? How many printers and how many servers, right?
Yes, ma'am. So we know how many computers or printers or books this $60,000 will actually cover in detail.
Okay, I can tell you that with the books, it all depends. Because children's books, it's a format. There's no way to be able to tell you that $4,000 will get you 200 children's books because we don't know how much they will cost in the upcoming year.
Okay.
Board books cost less than a dictionary. So that's why it's the type of book rather than a specific book, because there's no way to tell you what a price of something's going to be that hasn't been published yet.
Right, and I think the type of book is great. So yeah, knowing the type of books that you're going to allocate a specific amount of funds to the type, I think that's great too.
Okay, that's as much as I can give you because the books haven't been published yet. This is money for the upcoming year.
Okay, yes ma'am. So I think that will work just so that we can get a glimpse of kind of a breakdown of what that 60,000 will entail. So I think that would be great. Do we have that breakdown already? Okay. 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 I'll pull it up.
Any more questions for her, please, Ms. Keaton?
I think we did get it, Ms. Keating. I didn't realize you had sent it to us yesterday afternoon in our email, so I'm going to review it in my email. So thank you so much for sending that.
Okay, sure. And if you have any questions or you need any more information about it, just shoot me an email and I'll get it to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any more questions for Ms. Keaton? Thank you for joining us, and thank you for presenting your budget today.
Yes.
Brian, tell her thank you for joining us. Thank you for presenting.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is 3:45. Brittany, you want to talk about the pension, please? Y'all want to talk about that, you and Amanda?
I'll let Amanda start, just kind of explaining the way the pension plan will work, and then I've ran some figures, and then we can discuss that after she talks about that.
Hello again. We have met with representatives from ACCG with regards to offering our employees, current employees, a defined benefits plan, which is a pension plan. And how it would work is the effective date for the plan will be January 1 of 2022. And the participation will be any full-time employee meeting the provisions of the plan. And the plan year will run from January 1 to December 31st every year. The eligibility for benefits for our employees will be they have to obtain age 65 and 5 years of service with the county. There is no early retirement stipulation, and how the payout is determined, it would, employees who have obtained the normal retirement will receive 1% of the average annual average annual compensation multiplied by their years of service. So say a person has 5 years of service with us, and their annual compensation is $50,000. That $50,000 will be multiplied by whatever 5% of $50,000 is. I think it's $2,500. And how this current plan is proposed is an employee will receive a check of $2,500 each year upon their attaining age 65. Right now, we're just looking at a 1% multiplier, and the plan that we have been reviewing includes all county employees. So every member who have at least 5 years of service with us will automatically be included in the plan that Brittany's going to give you the numbers for. At this point, the county, the multiplier is 1%. At some point, the county will be seeking to increase the multiplier to at least 2% for our employees, so that they can have a more, I guess, they will be able to take home more monies as a result of the pension plan. But right now, is what we're looking at is a multiplier of 1%. Are there any questions?
Any questions, guys?
Yes.
So I guess, so will it start this year for the employees?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so.
Yeah, what we're looking at is starting January 1, 2022.
Okay, so if they retired sometime this year, they will get that one.
If they retire, if they reach age 60.
Okay. Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
if they reach age 65 with 5 years of service.
Yes, ma'am.
Amanda, and that does include the commissioners as well, right?
Correct.
Right. Anyone else? Well, let's get the numbers.
I'm going to turn that over to Brittany.
Okay, here's the fun part. So, pension plans work on contributions. So there's a required contribution, and then you can always, of course, add additional contributions. So you're maybe at an 80% contributed versus 70. But this is just flat required contributions. The first year would be $3,337,000. The second year would be $3.4 million. The third year would be $3.5 million. The third year would be $3.6 million. So it looks like it trends to go up about $100,000 every year. So that would be something just to keep in mind for future budget years. So obviously that is, expensive. So one thing, If you wanted to look at a pension, we could look at leaving our 401k contributions how they are. Currently, it's 4% automatic, 2% match if you put in 4%. If we reduce that, we could reduce it down to 2%, 5%, you know, whatever we all can kind of agree on if this is the route you want to go. So give me 1 second, let me get my spreadsheet pulled up.
Brittany, while you're doing it, can you give us the difference? Because I know you said it'd be I think you said 3.5, but we're already paying. What would be the difference between the two?
Are you talking about the current pension plan?
Uh-huh.
So we do have a current pension plan that has everybody that was hired prior to 95 on it, and it runs us around $600,000 a year. So it would be a difference of about $3 million. So currently our 401 contributions for the county is 1.6 million. So if you calculate no change to the 401 and adding pensions, you would be looking at contributing about 5.1 to retirement for your 5.1 million for retirement. You can also look at reducing our 401 contributions to 2%. If we reduce to 2%, that would be about around $1 million decrease. So, I mean, we can run. Mm-hmm. Of course, you asked a percent. I didn't calculate, but I can do that in just a minute. It's okay. And then we could also look at doing mandatory contributions as well. So where the county could fund 98% of the plan. We could do a 2% contribution mandatory, 5% mandatory contribution. So if we did a 2% mandatory contribution, that would save around $70,000. If we did a 5%, $175,000. So those aren't huge numbers, but you know, at the end of the day, when we're looking at crunching budget numbers, it gets down to the weeds sometimes. So give me 1 second, and I'll calculate the 3% if y'all would like to talk amongst yourselves.
I know generally 3% is about the average from what I've seen a lot when it comes to 401k. Only about 3% is better.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Henderson.
Yes. And I guess it's for Ms. Amanda. I mean, why can't, you don't have to get up, you can just tell us. Why can't we do just both? Yeah. Oh. Well, I understand our decision, but I'm saying I think she said something like 3 to 4 million or something like that. I think we need to do both.
Oh yeah, you can.
And when I gave a total of both, the both is about 5.1 million.
I guess if it's okay, Mr. C.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talking about holding our employees and stuff, and I think there would be one of the benefits when someone come here and Mr. Amanda give them their gift package or gift sack or what you were telling us, and they look and say, well, dog, they get both. If I stay here long enough, I can get defined benefit, and then I can get my 401. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lord. And Social Security. So I think that'd be great. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Hey,
yeah. I'm sorry, we just so excited about it, you know. We're just talking on the side over here.
What we're doing is looking at making our benefits offerings, specifically that as it relates to retirement, comprehensive, to include offering our employees a defined benefits plan, as well as the 401 or 457 in Social Security. And later on down the road, what we would like to do is looking at offering insurance for our retirees too, but that's later on down the road. So yeah, so that's something that we're thinking about from a perspective of recruitment and retention, because other surrounding counties are offering these type of plans to their employees.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the difference between 2% and 3% is roughly $100,000. So every percent, just think about 100,000.
Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to say, I think having both is excellent. And I think that would definitely be a way to retain and even attract more good qualified candidates that would not only want to come to Newton County, but want to stay here because of the benefit package that we're offering. They're getting, you know, like you said, their Social Security, they're also getting their 401k, and they're getting their pension. That speaks volumes for what we have to offer. And I think we'll get some really top quality employees by offering those type of benefit packages. So I'm all on board for that.
And I look at, even with the defined benefits plan, it's a way to compete with the public sector.
Yes.
Because the public sector they're not offering the defined benefits plan. They're just offering the 401ks or, you know, that type of the market-based plan. Right. So that's a way that we can actually, you know, compete with the public sector, the private sector in terms of recruiting and retaining employees.
Now you have your Fortune 100 companies, they are offering stuff like that. They're going to offer your 401k and your pension, but it's very few and far and in between that are offering that. So, yeah. I think that's great. I love it.
Anyone else? So y'all are still having the meetings, is that correct? You still meeting with ACCG?
Well, I think we have everything we need from ACCG.
Okay.
Yeah, we're finished with those meetings. We have all the numbers that we need, as well as the term of the plans.
All right. Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, okay, so Brittany, so from a financial perspective, from a budget perspective, does this sound doable for us to implement and make sure that we're still able to have a balanced budget, should I say, with any of those percentages that you quoted to us?
So we're still early on in the budget cycle. So I don't have numbers yet from the tax assessor's office. So if I am just going based off historic estimates, I assume that holding our millage rate where we're at now, we're probably going to be looking at an approximate $3.5–4 million increase in our budget this year. So that, could be this, but then capital. That's your kind of foregoing capital request. So I think at this point, I know as a finance director standpoint, I'm curious to see which way are y'all moving. Are you wanting capital? Like, what are your priorities this year? Is this going to be a priority? Is your capital going to be a priority? Do we want to try to do a little bit of both? Because we can, the pension plan, $3.5 million, if we leave our 401 contributions at this 4 to 6%. If we want to look at reducing it, then the net overall to the budget may be $2.5 million versus the 3.5. So if we want to look at adjusting 401k contributions, or if we want to leave them the same, that plays a big difference too in budget. And then roughly $1 million here right now equates to, based off last year's number, about $3.7 million. So that's, I know you always like to know about how much is $1 million. So, we're looking at $1 million increase of $1 million if obviously if the tax digest stays the same, which obviously it's not going to, but if we just kind of look at it on that level.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Brittany, quick question. Are those projections included in hiring new employees, or just keeping the number the same?
It's keeping the number of employees the same. Yeah. So what ACCG indicates is for new employees, it will be an additional maybe 4% of the contributions to the plan for each new employee. And that's new positions, not, you know, people, because people leave, then we, you know.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Much. Thank you. Thank you. Guys, now it's 4 o'clock, so we are going into the BOC discussion. You guys have any questions that you want to ask Mr. Sims, or you have any direction that you want to check in with Mr. Sims? Now be the time to do it. Anybody want to go first? About what we discussed? I'm sorry? Yeah, about what we discussed today. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And well, as you know, I'm trying to just want the right words, and sometimes the right words just won't come out of my mouth. I just say what I feel. And I've been struggling with the past, I guess, 8 years, several years. Put it like this, several years. And about Gators Plantation. I feel that in this day and time, that it shouldn't have a place in our county. Now, I'm not saying, you know, because some people say, well, you know, he said he don't like plantation. I don't think they were anything good as I think about history. But I think it's especially not good for our county, Newton County, in which I believe is the only county in the state of Georgia that still owns and operates a plantation. I think that we need to, whatever you want, but I think we need to stop funding it with our taxpayers' dollars. Maybe it need to be privatized, maybe the movie folks maybe need to come in there and you know, pay money to shoot movies, which I still think, you know, I just shoot straight from the heart. I think if you're shooting a plantation colleges and where people used to live a long time ago, I think that's kind of degrading for any person who are of color. And you think about the history, the past history. We're not talking about hating nobody, but I believe that we need to stop it, and I've heard it from several of my constituents. We need to stop spending county funds on a plantation that really doesn't contribute nothing to the budget. And if it did, me personally, I wouldn't want it. But we need to stop all funding. We need to stop it. We need to stop funding for Gators Plantation or murder farms, whatever you want to call it, and do something else with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions from Commissioner Sanders?
I know we have to progress as a county because we are actually, well, statistically, we are at 113,000, but really we're at 124, 125,000 people because everybody didn't complete the census. And I know we have to move forward, but my concern is that we almost had a 20% increase in the budget from 78 million to 95 million. We're definitely gonna get some backlash from the citizens from that. It's gonna be some real backlash, because if you look at 2021, it was at 71, then we went to 78 in 2022, then a huge jump to 95 million. So I know I do see, going line by line, some things that we should include in there, but there's some things that we might want to, because we're gonna plummet. We don't want another 2008. The housing market is at it's a buyer's market, but statistically it's supposed to change. And what happened in 2008, where y'all had the government, I wasn't here then. We need to save as much money as possible because it is going to plummet. The interest rates are already going up. So we don't want to see it at that point to where we're just dishing out funds, and we hope we don't have to get rid of employees like y'all did in 2000, was it 8, 9, 10, what was that? So that is my only concern. I know we had a discussion about the increase for employees. I am all for employees having raises. I used to work in corporate America for a long time. Believe me, I completely get it. I know this is a government agency, but we may want to look at that as well, because that can be an issue with us. We want to make sure we're at the market level. We are competitive, I do agree with that, but that's a lot of the increases, even some of the increases in various departments were at almost $500,000 and some were 1.2 million. And looking at those numbers, we're gonna get some backlash from the citizens. We are. I mean, they look at numbers. They don't look at what we see on this side. They see the numbers and it's their tax dollars, and they're like, what are we doing? The other issue that I see, I think I discussed that with Patrick and I were talking, I don't know if he's still on, we're talking about the travel budget for each commissioner. Travel budget for each commissioner. In other counties, each commissioner has their own travel budget. If they exalt it, that's on that commissioner. Versus, because I'm noticing there's issues when we want to educate ourselves or go farther, it's like a fight. So if you have it separated to where, hey, commissioners may have some counties have $5,000 to $10,000 travel budget per commissioner, and you say, hey, commissioner, that's it. That's all you get for that amount, and then we move on, and you manage which conference you're going to. It shouldn't be a fight to have a commissioner, because a lot of the stuff that we have, if some of us didn't go to these conferences, we wouldn't have the information. Even with the ARPA funds, if a lot of us did study this stuff and do what we had to do or talk to the Department of Treasury, we would not have this information. So that's the most important part of the educational piece, is sending your commissioners out to get the education, so we're not being dinged by the Department of Treasury or the federal government for spending the dollars wrong, because they had people coming up here asking for funds and we weren't supposed to give them money. So if we didn't find out that information and go to these conferences, we would have been in deep trouble. So you want to educate your commissioners and have them updated on what's happening in the community. So that's my piece. If we can just look at that budget, because we are definitely going to get some backlash.
So,
Thank you, Commissioner Sanders, Commissioner Henderson, for your remarks. I just want to reference again that first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for participating in our first day of our workshop. Today was a workshop, and we wanted to get the feedback, what you all are providing us. The budgets that we presented before you all are preliminary budgets. This is not, no way, form or shape to say that we are going to request a $94 million budget. We wanted to submit each of the departments' requests to you all as they presented it to us, take you all's feedback, and then we will be making the adjustments accordingly.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. We did it last year. So I'm just saying that if we happen to move forward with a $94,000 budget, we might not want to go that route. We need to do some cuts. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from Mr. Sims? Brittany, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
he basically said, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that it's a working budget. I would not even call this a proposed budget. This is everybody's wish list. Yeah.
And that's for the rest of the remainder of the week as well, right? Okay. I want to make sure.
Once we get this, then we'll kind of go back and visit and see where can we cut.
We really wanted to get a sense from the board where we were headed this year, what your priorities are. So are your priorities to fund more capital or more employee retention type items? So we're just trying to get a sense of which way we need to head when we start making cuts.
If there's nothing else, guys, we adjourn. Yeah, we will be back tomorrow. Thank you. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We're going to start off with Miss Linda Hayes. Miss Linda Hayes. No, we start at 10 tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow at 10.
I'm good.
Thank
I'll keep Tristan at home for another extra hour.
Guys, I thank all of y'all for being here. Thank you for providing everyone with your time, for being here and your suggestions today. With that, we are adjourned.